Hello, hosts and travelers. Welcome to the podcast Hosting Your Home. Each day around the world, millions of guests stay in other people's homes using the Airbnb platform. Debbie Herdert looks for stories that come from these connections to share them with you. Now listen in as we hear stories that teach us the human side of hosting your home.
Hi, everybody. This is Debbie. Welcome back to Hosting Your Home. Did you know that Airbnb hosts can help to bridge cultural gaps? We're going to talk about that today with Jill Palamountain and Michael McCarran. They describe their Airbnb as a high-touch kind of business. Jill and Michael have opened their hearts and their home to their Airbnb guests to the point where they're making a tradition of inviting past guests to their Thanksgiving meal. If you're interested in knowing about walkability and what the score might be in your neighborhood, go to walkscore.com and enter your own area, your address or zip code, and you'll get an idea of what your own neighborhood is like. Also, we're going to talk about some of the special things that Jill does for her guests and some of the lessons that they've learned in their cultural experiences. One thing not mentioned in the podcast in our interview is that when Jill took me upstairs to give me a tour of the bedrooms and the bathroom and, their Airbnb space, she also pointed out a couple of maps on the walls. One map was of the U.S., and on the opposite wall was a world map, and each one of them had pins stuck all over it. And these pins were put there by guests that were documenting where they had come from. And for being in business for only a year, I was amazed at the number of pins on those maps. It was incredible. And what a fun thing for the guests to do. Maybe that's something that you might want to do in your Airbnb. So stay tuned, listen on. We'll be back again in a little bit. Hope you enjoy this. So we are in the home of Jill and Michael Palamountain. Did I say that correctly?
That's my name.
Okay.
Palamountain.
McCarran is my name.
McCarran. Okay, great. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
It's a delight. Your home is lovely.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
And we are in Northeast Portland, in a very walkable neighborhood. And you've been here for
23 years.
23 years. And it looks like there's a lot out here to do. I'm not real familiar with this area, but I saw some stores, and you've got sidewalks and lovely trees shading the road.
It is beautiful.
Yes.
We're in the Alameda Irvington overlap, which is part of the Irvington Historic District. So, it's totally walkable and very safe. And we have a couple of services within a couple of blocks, but mostly things are maybe a mile away.
The coffee shops.
Coffee shops.
Like
Starbucks.
Yeah, Starbucks, that kind of thing.
Whole
Foods is, 10 blocks or so.
Oh, great.
Which is easy to walk, but the bus is only a couple of blocks away, so
Perfect.
people can get everywhere. And actually, when we started, I thought people would drive, and hardly any of our guests, very few, come with a car.
So
most
do
of them
they
are taking public transportation?
Do they then fly in and take the Max out, or how do they get here?
Yeah, often.
Or they rent a car at the airport.
Or they rent a car at the airport. Yeah.
Or they take Uber.
Yes, and have you noticed that some of the drivers are the same? They have
Yes.
both Uber and the Lyft
I
signs in
wondered
there.
about that.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Do you know what your walkability score is here?
I don't. That would be a good thing to know. I'll have to check that.
Yeah,
I think it's
you can
pretty
go
high.
online
But
and see and see what it is. But you put in your address and it'll tell you what your score is.
okay, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
I should know that.
Yeah, it would be a good thing to have on your website. You have 2 rooms that you list on Airbnb. And how did you get into the whole Airbnb process?
Well, let's see. We've been doing it for a little over a year. So we started in March, and so we're just circling a year. And we really started because my son went to college, and we became empty nesters. And we were thinking, wow, this house feels really big without my son. It's not huge, but it just felt really big. And so we're thinking we either need to downsize or we need to do something with the house. And it was about the same time we learned from some friends were raving about how great Airbnb was, and we thought, well, we were traveling, so we thought we would try it as guests, and we really liked it a lot and thought it was a pretty cool concept. And I don't know, maybe it took us a year later or 6 months later, something like that. Yeah, we got things ready, and we were only going to rent one room, actually, and then my son, who's hardly ever here, said, Mom, why don't you just put my room on there too? So we ended up doing that, and so now we have 2 rooms, which is great.
Not at Christmas.
Yeah,
At Christmas
except when he's home, we closed down.
Well, we gave him this room back.
Yeah. Well, isn't that one of the lovely things about Airbnb too, is that you can do whatever fits your schedule.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
if you want to take a trip and go someplace, all you have to do is black out your calendar.
That's right.
You just have to plan it far enough ahead so that you can do that probably. Right? Because otherwise you can't go if you've got guests coming.
Right. I think you know this, that we're taking a long trip in the summer, and we were going to have to block out like 5 weeks, which was high season, and it was like, yeah, we're going to be walking on the Camino in Spain, and it's a really important trip, but it was also high season here, so I ended up, having an idea about a business, but for this particular trip, I found somebody to help me run Airbnb here the way I run it. So we actually went away last weekend, and she had her first trial run, and it was great. It was good for her, and she felt she could see that it was going to work for her, and I could see that she was going to work out. And so,
Can we talk about the co-hosting a little bit? Are you okay to talk about that on?
Sure. Sure.
So this is Jill, who wanted to go away for her 5-week vacation and did not want to close down your Airbnb. So your thought was, have you created a name for what you're calling this?
I haven't done anything more than the concept and to share it with the group, but I'm sort of working with the idea of superhosts, something like that. Airbnb superhosts, I don't really know. I haven't checked it out. I don't know what's available or what I could do. But the byline to me is very strongly helping hosts get out of town, and that just feels right to me, and that's kind of how the whole thing is built, that it's hosts, and to me it's a referral kind of a thing. It's connecting with other hosts that either have a need to go away or have a need to have somebody take care of a place while they're away. I know there are services that do this, but in our case, we live in the home with our guests, and to me it's a very high-touch kind of business. It's not just handing somebody the keys. I wasn't comfortable just leaving it open and having somebody come and hand keys to people. I really needed somebody to actually be living here.
Because the biggest quality that a lot of our guests say that really makes them appreciate our location is that it's homey here. It's like being at home. It's not a Holiday Inn. It's not a Hyatt where you can go in and be anonymous throughout your stay. This is quite different than that.
Because you're part of the family.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, you're totally part of the family.
So you found another super host to come and live here while you're gone, is that correct?
She was a guest of ours, an Airbnb guest, and she and her husband moved here from Tokyo, and they live here now. They don't live with us, but they live nearby. Yeah, so it was one of those things that I have to find somebody because we have to make reservations, and I have to know I'm going, so we did that. I still like the idea of creating this referral kind of service where people can just be available and we can match people up.
Wonderful idea. And I have to just stop and comment that your previous guest has obviously lived with you, so she knows your style. She knows what it's like to be in your home. And as I walked in, I met another guest who is a previous guest who's not really a guest anymore because he also is in this area. This is important for Airbnb host and guests to understand, is you make lifelong attachments to people.
Oh yeah.
And here they are coming back to help you run your business.
Yeah.
It's really phenomenal. That's
cool.
Really great.
It's really cool. I think that's the thing we right out of the gate, because we thought, we'll just try it, and we didn't do a whole lot to our rooms to get started. We painted, that was it.
We did more
Well,
than that.
we eventually changed everything, but we painted, that was all we did. But right out of the gate, we thought, oh my God, this is amazing. The people that are coming to our house are like cool, really cool people, and they're people we're like delighted to know. And in fact, I was thinking about, we just had this guest, Jeff, that you met. He's on my list, but we just had another guest leave whose name is Pat, and he's from the UK. And he is also coming. He was starting a job, and this was the starting point, and then his wife is coming, and then they're going to find a place to live permanently in Portland. But last Thanksgiving, I had a Thanksgiving dinner for all of the guests that we had that still lived in Portland.
Oh.
And we had, 6 or 8 guests, most of them from a different country. And it was so wonderful to share our Thanksgiving tradition because they didn't really know what it was, but they were really curious. So we did the turkey and the mashed potatoes and, the whole 9 yards. And it was so wonderful, and it was just just so great to be able to share it, and everybody was so appreciative. And so I thought, this is going to be a tradition.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And I'm going to be doing it this year. And so I'm just telling you this because, we had a guest that's going to be living here, and he was so wonderful. And Jeff is wonderful. And I want these people to come back and share a meal with us.
Wasn't Pat also a host?
No,
Oh, I thought he was a host.
No, very experienced guest.
Well, that segues really nicely into my next question, and that's, how is it like having strangers live in your home? Didn't freak you out, huh?
It hasn't freaked us out, but sometimes it's nice to have your house to yourself. Mm-hmm. But on the balance, some of the really cool guests we've had, from Brittany, France, from Iran, from Southeast Asia, from Vladivostok,
Wow.
which I remember from geography class in 5th grade. It's the furthest east you can go and still be in the Russian territories. And it was just this is like a open or working history geography book. The stories that some of our guests come and tell us about where they live and what it's like where they live compared to what it's like here. It's a lot of fun to share that.
And you're the hub of it. You're the vortex.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love the energy that people bring into the house. And, we've had a few guests that are like, I won't be really happy when they leave because it wasn't a great fit. But by and large, everybody that comes enriches our lives and in some way. And, sometimes it's nice to have our own space. And if we get that way, we'll block it out. But I can't say we've done that very much. And
you're both running other businesses too, right? Mm-hmm. You're an acupuncturist, correct?
That's correct.
And Jill, you're a
business coach, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you have an office upstairs, and so you probably need to have time and space to be able to get in there and do that too. Is that?
Yeah, well, the good thing about coaching is that I go to my clients' offices. Yeah, so I don't see people here. I do have an office. I do work back there, but it's flexible.
Evenings in your household must be interesting. I do see a TV in a little living room area here. Do you watch the news with your guests and things like that?
We don't watch the news very often.
We find most of our guests just really want a place to stay, and so they will come and rest their head here and take a shower, and they'll be up in the morning and out all day. And
or
usually
they'll take off, go out to eat somewhere.
Yeah, and usually out most of the evenings. Some people do hang around, but most people come to Portland, in our experience, to see the city.
So how does it work? You said the bathroom, this very beautiful large bathroom upstairs. You share a bathroom with your guests. Mm-hmm. That's probably the one thing that I would think most people are nervous about when they book a place. Have you had any issues with? I mean, that's probably a sensitive subject, but
no, it's a good question.
It's a great question. I think the easiest way that we figured it out is just to check in with people in the evening before that coming morning and say, what are your plans? When do you need to get out the house? When do you need to shower? And we'll just put together an impromptu schedule, and it works out great. Mm-hmm. It's never really been a problem.
And we do have 2 bathrooms, so
Fabulous. So if you have an emergency,
I usually start my tour there. Here's our bathroom if you need it. I think people that stay here, they stay here because they like that kind of thing, and other people will seek out a separate apartment or whatever, something where they have their own bathroom, a suite of some sort. And I don't think we get those guests here, because if it bothers them, then they wouldn't come here. But nobody has ever asked about that. They just know coming in, this is shared space, and
I
that's
think
one of the things they come here for.
A lot of our foreign travelers come from situations where, and it is in Europe, bathrooms are down the hall. They're rarely in your living space. That's just the way it is. And I think for guests here that are American that travel abroad and see that and know that exists, a different way of living in Europe, are comfortable with going down the hall. It's not such a big deal to them.
Yeah. I would bet, too, that I don't know the average age of Airbnb guests offhand, but we have our fair number of young people come here, and our prices are really reasonable, and it's a great area, and it's easy to get around in. And so I think we probably get more young people than maybe, somebody like in your space. You have whole houses, you have separate apartments, that kind of thing appeals to a different group. I don't know what you find. Is your age group pretty?
They're all over the place.
All over the place.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, really. Yeah. So how old is this house?
It's 90 years old.
90. And what is the style of it?
Portland style.
It seems very classic to me, but I am not an architectural.
It started out as, I think, maybe a bungalow.
It was a bungalow. It had just a one bedroom upstairs.
It looks like either house on either side of us. But before we moved in, they raised the roof, and they put a whole second floor in.
Okay. Yeah.
And a big bathroom.
Yeah. So three bedrooms upstairs and one bathroom upstairs, and another bathroom downstairs with your other living areas. How's it like sharing a kitchen?
It's easier to share the bathroom than the kitchen.
Is it?
The kitchen it's not so bad. It's a narrow kitchen.
It's a galley. Yeah. It's hard to have a lot of people in there.
Yeah.
Allow your guests kitchen privileges. Do they have a dedicated space in the refrigerator for their stuff?
They do.
Yeah, we try to move our stuff aside and give them a space, and we also have cabinet space if people need it. Most guests don't cook either, so
I mean, Portland has a reputation of being a foodie kind of place. There's restaurants of every stripe all throughout the metropolitan area, and that's part of the attraction. Who wants to sit at home and eat when they can go to a restaurant?
Right. Yeah. And do you offer any coffee, tea, breakfast foods, that kind of thing?
Yeah, we do. We offer coffee and tea, and I make muffins. Our homemade muffins with our raspberries or blueberries. They're gluten-free, they're dairy-free. And fruit I make available. Most people, I would say most people enjoy the muffins and the coffee or tea, whatever. I also started carrying Pop-Tarts when I learned that the founder, that was like the original Airbnb food. Yeah. So I just have to have those on hand.
It's so funny.
so I do.
We have healthy Pop-Tarts and less healthy.
I didn't know there was a difference.
Well, we have gluten-free.
Okay.
And then
the whole wheat.
Started with muffins because I like to make muffins, and I thought, that'd be a nice thing to do for our guests. And then our guests started commenting on them in the reviews, and then we started getting guests coming through the door, checking in and saying, I can't wait to try your muffins. And I thought, oh my gosh, now I have to do them.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So now I'm kind of...
So you've been in business for a year, right? Mm-hmm. And I know you're a super host, so you must have just kind of like hit the gate running.
Yeah, that's a good question. So yeah, I went after Superhost like right away.
Did you?
Yeah, I'm like, I gotta get it. I need the star. That's just who I am. And one of the things we discovered was we were getting okay reviews, but not great, not Superhost reviews. Well, one of our bedroom was just outstanding, and the other one was quasi. And what we discovered was we had a futon when we started in this one room where we were getting lukewarm reviews. People would say nice things, but the stars were critical. Anyway, what ended up happening is we changed out everything in that room, and we changed out the bed and the
sleep number.
We've got a sleep number in there now, and we didn't have a bureau at the time. It was just kind of then we realized, this has to be a bedroom, and it has to be a real bed if we're going to get reviews. So once we did that, we were there.
Yeah. The sleep number has made a big difference. You can. It's always kind of fun to walk down the hall and your guest is settling down, but then you hear that little whir of the motor of the sleep number bed going as they check it out.
Yeah, it's kind of
trying to find their own unique number.
Exactly. Yeah.
People from the U.S. have heard of it, but usually not have tried it, so you can see their eyes light up. Oh yeah, I want to try that.
What is your average length of stay? I just thought of it because it takes a while to kind of get your number right, you know.
I don't know. I'm 3 or 4.
I was going to say
something.
3.
That we have a lot of short term. We do take guests for one night. People always say, "Why do you do that? So much work." But I appreciate it as a guest because if you're traveling from one place to the next, we have plenty of people that are on a road trip, coming from Seattle and passing through Portland on their way to California or whatever. So I'd like to kind of pay that forward. We have not a huge number of people do that to feel good about it.
A goal, or do you have an idea of the average number of nights you rent a year? Like how full you are, and if you have seasonal changes, and
definitely have seasonal changes. I think so many things are changing. We really didn't have any business in January or February or December because we were closed. So we had 3 months where we didn't have anybody.
I think that closure for December kind of set up the January and February.
Well, I don't know if it set it up or it just wasn't busy. And I know that Airbnb has changed the way they're trying to match guests to hosts. And I don't know. I'm still trying to learn more about their algorithm because I think it can be really helpful for hosts to know how to help themselves. So I don't know, the first couple of months, since we hadn't been open the year before in January and February, I didn't know what to expect. Mm-hmm. But having no one was a little daunting. Mm-hmm. It was like, what happened? And I know there's a lot of talk in the community about having too many hosts now and, not enough guests kind of thing. So people are definitely seeing the difference. I think overall our business is up slightly over last year, but I only have a few months right now where I have any comparison. Mm-hmm. So I think I'll know better by the end of the summer. We were totally booked over the summer last summer.
I'm sure you will be this summer too.
I hope so.
Because I think my impression is that people will use Airbnb on a shorter time frame. Do you list on any other platforms?
No.
Okay. Well, some of the other ones, people will book months ahead or even years ahead. Mm-hmm. Airbnb is frequently a week or 2.
Yeah, that's what we find. Yeah.
We have had some that book out quite a bit, like a month or 2 or 3. Mm.
Not many.
Not many. It's the exception more than the rule.
I feel like we might be a different model than somebody who has a separate apartment. The most they'll book out is 3 or 4 weeks. That's a long time. In my world, people will often be like, can I come and stay there tomorrow? Oh. So we'll have holes in the schedule that will fill up, but they'll fill up at the last minute.
Right.
And so I've talked to other people that have apartments, separate spaces that they rent, and they're booked for months ahead. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't happen in our world. Right. That's why I think it might be a young thing, an age thing, that young people don't plan out that far.
Definitely don't plan out there in the last minute.
I don't know.
Airbnb offers, I'm not sure what they call it, but they offer the ability to build in time between bookings so that if you wanted to have a free day before a guest came or a free day after a guest came, you can incorporate that into the calendar. Right. Do you do that?
I think I might have like a 3-hour window.
Oh, okay.
It's a very small. My thought, again, is just to be ready. I often have a guest leaving on one day and coming in later the same day. Mm-hmm. And so I'm sort of in that pattern of being able to turn it over fairly quickly.
And you do your own cleaning?
I do.
What stands out in your memory of the nicest experience that you've had with a guest?
So we had some guests that were from Iran, and we got to know them pretty well. They were very nice. They invited us when they were cooking some rice with a special topping to have some. It was delicious. I never had anything like it. But it turned out, they went their own way and met up with some family. And then we had a Shakespeare in the Park, and we invited them to come join us for it. And they came, and they really enjoyed it, and it was great. And it was like having friends that we had known for years with us.
They were quite amazing. And before they came, I was nervous about their coming because they were from Iran. And I'm thinking, are they going to be in hijab? And is it going to be, the culture going to be so different? And I learned a big lesson because they were the most lovely, warmest, genuine, they were you just loved them immediately. And they were quite Western. And we spent a lot of time with them, and we had this cultural exchange that was wonderful. And even my son, he came back for vacation, I guess, and we had them over for dinner because we wanted them to meet, because he's very interested in Middle Eastern studies. That's what he's studying in college, and he's learning Arabic, and they speak Farsi, but he's studying Arabic. So it was really wonderful to be able to have them meet each other and share, and they've invited us to come visit in Iran. But what I realized, the big lesson for me is all I knew about Iran is what I hear on the radio. Mm-hmm. And it's all bad news. Mm-hmm. It's fear, it's fear engaging. And so I was letting that tape play before they got here. And then I realized these are just beautiful people. And, there's lots of beautiful people in Iran. And I have to be careful about what I take in on the radio. It's really created in me a more critical ear to recognize inflammatory language. Mm-hmm. And also just realize that people are the same wherever they are in the world. They're all the same. And
it's mostly good.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what we're hearing is their government speaking. And
I love the way the Airbnb model helps us break down culture gaps. Mm-hmm. Because it's really phenomenal.
We were sitting watching TV last night, and there was an Airbnb commercial on. It was really well done. And it had several different snippets of different cultures getting together and celebrating, doing things together.
Their thing about live here is right on.
Mm-hmm. Don't just go to travel through a place, live there.
Yes.
Live a day, or go out and get your baguette in the late afternoon and get some cheese and dinner and for the next morning meal. We don't live like that in this country.
No.
It's very different.
Well, do you have, as a closure, do you have any tips that you'd like to give to other Airbnb hosts and potential Airbnb hosts?
I would just say, I talk to a lot of people, actually, who are thinking about it. Mm-hmm. And first of all, if you're thinking about it, go stay in one so you know what it is. I think that's really a good thing to do.
Yes.
But particularly... well, I just saw that story on that Airbnb did about the 60-plus-year-old women. I thought, that's it, that's right, right on. Getting the best reviews and stuff. Yay! And anyway, so
and the most number of superhosts, right?
Right, exactly, and growing really fast.
Ladies, yes.
Because especially in this neighborhood has some beautiful homes in it, mm-hmm. and a lot of people, these big homes. And it's just two of them are, even one of them living in this huge home. And it's like, so there's a lot of asset here. And I talked to a lot of women particularly who are like, I think I might want to do it, but I'm worried about the safety and,
the bathroom.
Yeah, and how do I do this? And you just try it. That's my tip, is just put your toe in and try it first as a guest. And then if you think you might envision yourself doing it, try it as a host. If you don't like it, you can always pull out, and I think you'll be surprised at how wonderful it is and how much more it is than you ever expected. I mean, we make so many friends, and we'll have amazing places to travel if we decide we want to go visit some of these guests that we've had.
Then, so do you use the money that you get from Airbnb to travel with, or do you have that allocated someplace else?
I don't know that we've specifically allocated it, but what's happening is we are in a 90-year-old house that needs work. So I see it as a reinvestment into the property. Like, everything is just needing a little upgrading, and old houses take a lot of care.
I've really enjoyed this. It's been fun.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it too.
Aren't they super? I just love doing this work. I'm meeting the most wonderful people, and I'm really quickly coming to the understanding, actually, I think I knew this before I ever started this podcast, that Airbnb hosts are special people. They really share who they are, and they're very warm-hearted and fun individuals. So thanks for listening, and if you want to receive email reminders of our new episodes, sign up for our email newsletter at the bottom of our page on our website. Also, it would be really fun for Rob and I to hear your comments, and we want to know how you like the show, and if there's a subject that you'd like to hear about or someone special that you want me to interview, let me know. Hit that comment button and leave us some notes. Thanks again, guys. See you next time. What is your full name?
I don't know.
What's your name?
Mateib.
Do you have a middle name?
Uh-huh.
What is that?
Mateib Douglas Huda.
Thank you. That's perfect. McCabe, how old are you?
3.
How old is your mom?
5.
And let's see, what do you want to be when you grow up?
I was gonna be a bulldozer guy.
A bulldozer guy.
And you will ride on my bulldozer.
Thank you. And what does your dad like to drink?
A little bit of beer.